because they would go to so many different places. It was nothing unusual for Larry to be on a private jet 2, 3, 4 days out of a week. And, he could be anywhere. And, some of these things were cloaked in secrecy because a lot of them were instigated out of SAC. That's the Air Force Base in Omaha. That's Strategic Air Command.
What did they have to do with it?
That's where a lot of the MK Ultra things went on, the mind control.
Okay, now let's talk a little bit about that, because when you say the mind control, now how familiar were you with Paul Benassi?
I testified at his trial against Larry King, where he'd won the $1 million judgment.
This is the civilian lawsuit that Benassi filed against him, right?
Yeah. Well, I think it's February 5th of 1999 in Judge Warren Urban's court.
Okay.
I knew Paul. I wasn't really close to him.
Yeah.
But, I knew of him. That's pretty much the way most of the people I knew in Larry's organization, I knew of them, but I didn't want to get close to any of them.
Right, okay.
A lot of the kids were brought in. They were either drugged or they'd take them through this MK Ultra and do the mind control. Larry was very good at that.
Now, and you say that the SAC base, Offutt Air Force Base in Omaha, that was a facility where they took these kids?
Yeah.
Let's go back to the Air Force Base, because I know Paul Benassi talked, quite extensively about stuff that he'd been through. He was also, from what I understand, the psychiatrist that looked at him. He was himself a multiple personality, had been traumatized, and these compartmentalized personalities had been set up in him from when he was just a child. He claimed that he had been taken to Offutt Air Force Base, did he not?
Yeah. When I was with Larry and we went out to Offutt, what struck me funny was he would go right through the guard shack. They didn't stop him for anything. Didn't matter who he had with him.
Okay, so it kind of implies that he was well known there.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Let me ask you this, Rusty, in your time with him around Larry King, did you ever see or know about any kind of cooperation that he may have had with any kind of government agencies, i.e. CIA or any of these other agencies that might be involved in some kind of covert activity?
Oh, yeah. Michael Aquino was a colonel in, Army or...
He was in the Army.
He had various ties to, like you said, the CIA and the FBI, things like that.
Yeah.
Getting back to that daycare center I was telling you about.
Yeah.
The guy boarded up the doors, and we were on a private jet to Washington. And he called Wadman, and it was beyond his hands by that time. And the sheriffs, he called them trying to get it opened up. They didn't want to touch it. State Patrol didn't want to touch it. So he was upset. And he called Reagan direct. And I sat there and listened to the phone call.
Yeah.
And I could hear because I was just right next to him. And it was open within 20 minutes.
Wow.
Yeah.
So he had the juice.
Oh, he had the juice.
King was also involved in kidnapping.
Oh, yeah.
What knowledge do you have of that?
They'd have what they'd call catalog kids. They would basically just go out driving around looking for kids. And they would take pictures of them and go to these wealthy, influential people and say, would you be interested in this one or that one or the next one? And they would basically go snatch them.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much what happened to Johnny Gosch.
So Johnny Gosch was definitely part of this orbit in his selection and kidnapping.
Yeah.
All right. What was done with Johnny? Do you know what was done with him?
He was basically made into a sex slave.
Yeah.
Put him down like in a basement or somewhere and hide him out of the way and get them moved from one place to another. It gets to the point to where when you have a captive person, they're angry and frustrated at first, so they basically confine them or drug them.
Yeah.
And then they get to the point to where this person is craving personal interaction.
Right.
To where there's no other people around but the people who have made them captive.
Right.
And they get to the point to where they actually start liking the person.
Kind of like the Stockholm Syndrome, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And they know this when they take these kids.
Yeah.
It's a psychological game. The military uses this a lot to where the MK Ultra and things like that, they have ways to actually split a personality. Paul Bonacci, if I remember right, he has 13 different personalities. You know, I've seen a few of them. It's bizarre because you're sitting here, you're talking to this person, and it's a whole other person you're talking to.
Yeah.
But yet it's the same body. It's kind of eerie, actually.
Yeah. Let's talk about the investigation itself and some of the stuff that went on with DeCamp and Senator Schmidt. Gary Caradori, who was a retired Nebraska highway patrolman, went into private investigative work, was hired by the committee to investigate this stuff. Caradori died in a plane crash. What do you know about that, and what do you know about some of these photographs that allegedly exist concerning very important people?
They were mine.
Oh, they were?
Yes.
Okay, what were they photographs of?
They were photographs showing various kids being with these influential people, enough so to where it would prove that if they were missing or something, that where they were at, and get a lot of questions going.
Okay.
And raise a lot of eyebrows.
Okay.
There was names, there was dates to go with the faces.
Okay.
And that's what was on the plane. I was very reluctant about working with him.
Were you the contact that he flew to Chicago to meet?
Yes.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's the first time I've said anything publicly about that.
All right.
I'm probably one of the last people to see him live.
You delivered what to him? He flew up with his 8-year-old son on the plane to. He flew up to Chicago with his 8-year-old son on the plane.
Yes.
Met with you.
I gave him pictures, dates, places, my memoirs. While I was going through this, I was meticulous about keeping notes.
I'd imagine for your protection.
Well, yes.
Yeah.
I used to keep a diary. It was an assortment of things that would tie in a lot of people. You know, for instance, what I've been told, there are 23 children that have been to the White House very quietly. You know, the after-hours tours, yes, they do have them. And the kids that would go there would never be seen again. You know, and they may go a few times or that, but it was all hush-hush. You know.
Yeah.
When they were done with them, it was done. And
you never saw them again?
Nope.
Can you speculate on what you think might have happened to them?
I would bet there probably because
How much did Satanism play into the picture there? Was that a big part of it? What was it all about?
A lot of that centered around Michael Aquino. The Omaha World Herald was run by Harold Anderson.
Okay.
He had a farm place outside of Omaha, and they would go out and have various things out at that farm. Okay.
You talking about ritualistic kind of stuff?
Yeah.
Okay.
And some of the kids were brought out there, the ones that were kidnapped. You know, that farmhouse played an important role.
So you'd surreptitiously shoot photographs?
Yes, I would do it for the purpose of basically having to protect my own butt. That's what Gary Caradori got killed over, was those pictures. The pictures I was getting were to get basically who's who and what's what. The kids they'd get them tooted up, and boys on boys, old men with boys. Occasionally they'd have girls. It was a lot of times the younger ones.
What about Warren Buffett?
Warren was in more than he would like to be known.
Yeah. Because I know DeCamp, his name shows up in DeCamp's book.
Yeah.
And, of course, everybody knows who Warren Buffett is.
Yep.
But he was involved in this level of this kind of stuff that was going on?
Yeah. You know, there's a few things going on right now that I personally know of that for investigations and things like that I cannot disclose. You will be hearing some things come in the very near future.
Okay. All right.
That are major.
Major?
Major.
Can you comment on what area they may be major in?
The who's who. The people who were involved in it, there's going to be heads roll. It goes way, way, way high. I probably said more than I should have at this point on that. People can look forward to a few things coming in the near future.
All right.